Damn it, why did it take so long? Donald Trump finally indicted. He will be indicted again and again. As I said to you before, he will be a defendant for the rest of his natural life. This is the beginning. This is the first domino. I do expect Fulton County to indict. I do expect the grand jury in D.C. to indict. And I do expect the state of New York to eventually indict. Let's get into it. Let's put the picture up. Who's behind this indictment? Not the DA, but her. Yeah. Remember, the DA does not indict. It was the grand jury who indicted based on what happened between them two. How fitting. It is still Women's History Month. We're celebrating the contributions that women make to society at large. Thank you, Stormy Daniels. In New York, former President Donald Trump claimed he is, and I quote, completely innocent, end quote. And he is a victim of political persecution, not prosecution, persecution, which means he doesn't deserve what he's receiving. Thursday, after becoming the first former president in history to face a criminal indictment, the ex-president, who's still at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida, as far as we can tell, declared his innocence in a lengthy statement issued minutes after word emerged that a Manhattan grand jury investigating hush money payments to porn star Stormy Daniels voted to indict him on criminal charges. Trump said in a statement, and I quote, "The Democrats have lied," he says, "cheated and stolen in their obsession with trying to get Trump. But now they've done the unthinkable, indicting a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference," said Trump, who's the leading candidate for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024. "Never before in our nation's history has this been done," he continued. "The Democrats have cheated countless times over the decades, including spying on my campaign, but weaponizing our justice system to punish a political opponent who just so happens to be a president of the United States and by far the leading Republican candidate for president has never happened before, ever." That's correct, sir. You are the first. Just like you're the first sitting president to be indicted twice. An impeachment is an indictment. It's a formal reading of charges. Okay? You were indicted twice as president of the United States. You're the first there too. You also ran up a record deficit. You're winning in that arena as well. You told more lies than any other president in the history of our nation. As a matter of fact, they calculated it. You've told more lies than all presidents combined. You're winning, sir. Now, let's go back to something quite interesting. Remember the Central Park Five, the Black and Latino youth who were blamed for a crime they never committed. Donald Trump is the one who really enhanced their lives in a negative way. I happen to be friends with some of them. One I talked with this morning, Dr. Yusuf Salaam. Dr. Yusuf is running for council in Harlem. I expect he will win. I encourage people to support him. He's a good man. I talked to him this morning. He's all over the place. He has emotions of what happened back then, and also he understands the power of karma. What you put out in this world, you will eventually get back. You will reap what you sow. Let's put him up full mass. My dear brother, Yusuf Salaam, Dr. Yusuf Salaam, one of the 5 New York teens wrongfully convicted, wrongfully imprisoned for a 1989 sexual assault of a jogger in Central Park. He did issue a brief statement following Thursday's criminal indictment of former U.S. President Donald Trump, who called for bringing back the state's death penalty to execute him and his friends. Trump never apologized once they were exonerated, cleared, found to be not guilty. Salaam tweeted, "For those asking about my statement on the indictment of Donald Trump, who never said sorry for calling for my execution. Here it is. Karma. Karma. That's it. Trump spent $85,000 to $200,000 today on a full page ad. I'm reading from back then when he actually spent money to put their images everywhere he could and call for their death. $85,000 to $200,000. Ads ran in New York's major newspapers calling for the restoration of capital punishment so that the Central Park Five could be executed. You see, Trump has been doing this dog whistle and racial troping for a while. The 5 Black and Latino teens, Antron McCray, Kevin Richardson, Raymond Santana, Corey Wise, and Dr. Salam, were beaten and coerced by New York City police into falsely confessing to the rape they never committed. They spent years behind bars for the horrific crime that they did not do. Salam, who was 15 years old when his life was upended, was in prison for 6 years, 8 months before his exoneration. I bring this to your attention because I want to remind you that before he was even president of the United States, he lacked any level of moral or ethical integrity. Anyone who authentically believes that this is a good route, I'm talking about putting up signs calling for the death of 5 teenagers. If anyone truly believes that is a good way to do criminal justice, you definitely would believe once you find out that they did nothing wrong, you would at least issue an apology, try to make them whole. It's not what happened. Donald Trump never apologized for being wrong. As a matter of fact, in interviews, he basically said he still believes they did it, even though the evidence says completely contrary. So when you feel sorry for this man who's being prosecuted for his own crimes, I want you to remember what he put others through who were children, and he did not give a damn. All right. My dear brother, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's obviously a unique day today. Seeing that news come out last night, the internet losing its mind over it, and I think in many ways rightfully so, just because this is unprecedented. This is something that we haven't seen before, and I think there's no more powerful statement about that than Dr. Salam and his statements. Bearing where he's come from and his kind of perspective on this with his previous interactions with Donald Trump. I feel like in this country, we oftentimes we're looking for people that inspire us, and a lot of people look at someone who's at Donald Trump, I should say, as someone who inspires them or someone who has been successful. To me, inspirational and a beacon of success is Dr. Salam. Mm-hmm. Someone who you want to talk about given a bad hand. Yeah. You want to talk about just could not have been put in a worse position. And to look at what he has overcome and where he is at today, from where he started, is nothing short of inspirational. Certainly much more inspirational to me than a man whose father lent him millions of dollars and then, turned around and failed up, yep. Which is how I look at Donald Trump. So, it's a very interesting day. It's, a tumultuous time. It'll be interesting to see, how our country and society as a whole sort of absorbs this, because we're getting into, this is new territory. This is completely like foreign to Americans and to the world. So, it's an interesting time to say the least.
Yeah, and it is a slippery slope, but we have been on this slippery slope since Trump got elected. You got to remember, Trump put us on this fast track, refused to make any reasonable just compromises, refused to do so, left everyone with no choice.